I am so excited about the topic that I have for today because it's funny. It sort of just came to me through this last week. I was like, I follow lots of coaches and just through different avenues, like other coaches and my counselor and my own work. I started having this started seeing all these pieces of this topic come together on how to motivate yourself to do hard things. And that's such a huge topic because that's something people talk to me a lot about in coaching is I can't seem to get myself to do this, to eat better or to do this thing in my business or whatever the thing is. And it's always seems to be such a hot topic for everybody, motivation and pushing through the resistance and doing the hard stuff. Mm-hmm. Gosh, I'm trying not to lean into this thing. So anyway, this all just kind of started coming to me, and then it got me thinking more about what I do to work through it. And I kind of ended up just brainstorming this list of all the different techniques that I use to take action through hard things, and then just kind of evolved into this topic. So I think that I might end up turning it into a piece of the group that you're in, Kim, or I don't know, I might do something with it because I think it's going to be awesome. But so I'm going to kind of just jump into, I'll tell you guys the list of things, the different things you can do, and then I'll go through and explain each one. Okay, so the first thing, and again, I'm just listing them and then I'll go through and explain them in a minute. So the first thing you're going to do is a self-check on your emotions. And these will make sense as I explain them. The next thing you're going to do is reparent yourself. This one I actually got from listening to a parenting coach. And then I started practicing it on myself and I'm like, hey, that really works. So it'll be fun to explain. The next thing is create desire. Okay, and then visualize and practice beliefs. Then let go of perfectionism. And then use rewards. Okay, so we're gonna go through those, and then I'm gonna explain what to do if none of them work, and then I'm also going to we're actually gonna do some exercises at the end together to help you implement this. So number one, the self-check, okay? The first place we all wanna start is if you're feeling we all have those things where it's I need to get this done, I need to get this done, and every time you think about it, it's you're inside just going, no, like a little kid, just no, there's just this major wall, right? So the first thing you always want to do is do a self-check in that moment. Okay, sit down, close your eyes, and literally ask yourself, if you learn anything from me, coaching involves a lot of self-conversation. So really just going okay, what's wrong? Why don't you want to do this? What are you feeling? What are you needing that you're not getting? Or what are you feeling that's causing you to not want to do this? Okay. You'll be shocked the answers you get if you really just sit with yourself and in silence and really listen. You'll be shocked what you hear a lot of times. A lot of the times, the reason that this is happening is that we are not sitting with emotions that we need to be sitting with. And we are kind of stuffing or burying things that really need to be paid attention to. And so when that happens, our brain is basically going, well, you're not taking care of me and you're not taking time for me. So why would I let you take on more? Why would I let you commit to more time to something when you don't even have time to pay attention to your own needs? And your brain is I'm not letting you go any farther. Your emotions are I'm not letting you take on anything else until you learn to take care of me and pay attention to me first. Mm-hmm. We have this built-in knowing that we need self-care, that we need to process our emotion. And anytime we're not paying attention to that, we will literally stop ourselves in our tracks from moving forward. It's like an internal checks. It's like an internal alarm system that we have. So anytime we're feeling that resistance, we always want to stop and ask ourselves, is there something that I'm not letting myself feel? And I talk to myself like another person. It's funny. There's two of me in there. I don't know. Somehow makes sense in my own head, but you do too. Yeah. I don't know if it's my soul talking to my spirit or I don't know what's happening, but I do that. So But I'll be like, is there something that you're not getting? Is there something that you're feeling that I'm not, that I need to pay some attention to? Like, is there what do you need from me? That's a really good one. I love to ask myself that question. Because you can ask yourself in a lot of different ways, and sometimes it'll help you get the answer you're looking for. Um, so a lot of times it will be like the symptoms of burnout and exhaustion and like disconnection with yourself that you will feel that resistance in, right? And so those are always the alert that we need to stop and like do whatever we need, like take care of ourselves. Honestly, 9 times out of 10, it really just comes down to having some like quiet alone time sitting with yourself and like doing some just sitting with your emotions and letting yourself feel them, or like talking yourself through stuff that's coming up. It doesn't have to be anything massive. I mean, you could do meditation if you wanted, like whatever you want, but it really comes down to just being alone with yourself in silence. Like, I really feel like that's like the thing that people tend to avoid and resist the most is we all want noise all the time. We want TVs on and radios on, and I like there's nothing wrong with those things inherently. I love TV, and I am a huge like supporter of TV and entertainment. I have a client who's an actress, and I have such a value system around entertainment. But if we, that's just, I'm saying having it on all the time is often the reason that we're actually avoiding that silence with ourselves. But that's actually the thing we need the most, truly, is like having it, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be some huge long thing. We tend to get overwhelmed because we think it has to be like an hour, meditation or something. It can be 10 minutes where you just really hear yourself, and that can be enough to get you past that block, right? So like I said, the solution here is take some time to rest, commit to rest and self-care going forward. You're going to get that self-trust back the more that you're willing to like sit and really commit actively to your self-care and your rest. You'll get that self-trust back, and then your brain will go, okay, well, we can take on something else because you're taking care of me. So now we have the capacity and the energy to give to something else now, right? Yeah. So it's like this whole burnout, self disconnection that will kind of turn into that resistance. By the way, the self-care plans is actually going to be one of the things we're going to be doing in the monthly group. So that's something to look forward to for you, Kim. Okay. So that's going to be awesome. Like we're actually going to help you. I'm going to help you develop a self-care plan for yourself, and then like plan it out so you can incorporate it into your days and actually turn that into something you can do. I think it's so important. The thing I love about this group is that, and I'm talking about my paid group, is that like we all have these concepts and they're so great, but then sometimes it's like, okay, well, what do I do with it? Right. So this is going to be so good for like actually implementing them and knowing how to do that. It's actually very simple, but I think our brains kind of get overwhelmed in that space from like idea to execution. Right.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. So the next thing you want to do when you are resisting doing hard things is to reparent yourself. So a lot of times when we are growing up, and because our parents are human and they're not perfect, whenever we would be feeling resistance towards things that we didn't want to do naturally, right? Like resistance to doing chores, or we were feeling strong emotions, and our parents told us like, just get over it and go do it. Like, what's wrong with you, right? Just suck it up, like kind of thing. They unknowingly created that internal voice inside of ourselves. And that's now how we talk to ourselves, right? So what happens is when I need to go fold all that laundry that's overwhelming me, or, I need to go do something in my business, like get my taxes done or something that feels extremely daunting, we're sitting there going, what's wrong with you? Just do it. Like, how hard is it? Get over it. Right. And it literally causes us to shut down, just like we did when we were kids. And so this is what I got from listening to a parenting coach. I actually love parenting coaches. They're really helpful if you want to learn how to change your internal dialogue. Listen to a parenting coach talk about how to talk to kids. It's fantastic. You can literally rewire all those thought processes inside of yourself by listening to them. So this is what I say, okay? You want to sit here and literally talk to yourself how you wanted somebody to talk to you, or how you would want to talk to a child now. And the thing I like to say is, okay, I understand the way you're feeling, and it's normal and okay to feel that way. Nobody wants to do taxes. They're so scary and overwhelming, right? It's okay to feel that way, and you're allowed to feel that way. But I won't let you not do this. I won't let you skip this, or we're still going to do it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It is so freaking powerful. The second you say that to yourself, a lot of times your intense resistance will just dissipate. It's like, oh, okay, like it's okay to feel all this yuck about it and still go do it. Like it's okay, like I'm heard and I'm validated, but then I can still do it feeling this way. And it's something about that internal validation, that exact phrase
Mm-hmm.
is so freaking powerful. Like I just did this with myself this week and I was like shocked at how my emotions just instantly dissipated. I was like, wow, what happened to all that fight? Wow. Right. So yeah, that is just one of my favorite things. So you can really apply that to anything. Like really ask yourself, how would I want somebody to talk to me in this situation? How would I talk to a child that I love in this situation? And turn that dialogue inward around anything that you're fighting and struggling with. It's amazing how much resistance it will remove. And then you'll just feel like, oh, okay, I feel lighter about this, right? Because again, it's teaching kids that it doesn't matter that, I mean, it's like okay to feel yucky about it. You just still do it, right? That's the lessons we teach them, is like life is just kind of yucky sometimes. And we just kind of feel yucky about it. We go do it anyway, right? And so that's kind of how we reparent ourselves. Okay. The next thing is creating desire. And there's several ways to do that. And I kind of broke it up into 2 sections around this. So the core thing here is that you want to find reasons why you want to do something and connect to those reasons and then the feelings that they create. So, good example, okay? I had a pretty rough day today. Like I said, I've been dealing with all the grief around my dad, right? So, like, emotionally, I was so not feeling being here today. Now, I wanted to be here, like, I wanted to show up, but emotionally I didn't. So what I did was I talked myself through like, okay, so why do I want to be here? Well, I want to be here because I love consistency, and showing up consistently is so important to me. It's a really high value of mine. So I reminded myself, like, I want to be consistent. I want to be the person that people can trust that I'm going to be there when I say I am, right? Of course, with grace, like humanity is, I'm still human and I'm allowed to have an off week or whatever. But like, I mean, like I moved last week because of this, but this week I was like better enough that I could be here. So I really wanted to be consistent. Also, like I love being here. And I always know that whenever I show up, like I've showed up enough times feeling like crap that I know that when I do, it's so much fun when I get here. Like I love connecting with the people, with you guys, with the people that come. I love just like, it's like somehow I just go into a zone and it's awesome, right? Because I've learned like to like follow through with myself and show up enough times that I've proven to myself that that's always true. So I dug into those reasons to be my deeper desire and reasons of why I wanted to be here, right? And that's what we always have to do. Anytime we're like really feeling a lot of resistance towards something, it's like sit down and really think through like why. What are some reasons I can own that are mine of why I want this thing, of why I want to do this thing. So if it's laundry, right? That's a really hard one because I think a lot of times we feel almost societally forced to do certain things like that. Why do I want to fold my laundry? Well, it feels really good when I open my drawer and see all my clothes put away, right? Like, even if they're just shoved in there, not even folded, it just feels nice to see my laundry room empty. Laundry house chores tend to be very triggering for a lot of people, so it's a good example. But like, isn't that funny? But truly, like, what reason can I own, right, that I want to do this? I think what happens a lot of times is we almost feel this I can't think of the word, intrinsic and extrinsic, I believe is the word, external values being pushed at us. And when we don't own them, we fight them. Again, we're all kind of like little kids, just like fighting chores in our internal worlds, right? So it's like, I just feel like people are telling me I have to do laundry. Why? People are telling me I have to like vacuum my floors. Why? Like mom told me that it needs to be clean in my house when company comes over. Why? Right? And so this is where we have to turn around and ask ourselves, do I want to own this value? Do I want to do this? And if I do, then why? Right? And it turns things inward to where we will own things for ourselves, and then we internalize that desire, and then it becomes ours, right? And in the process of coming up with the reasons, we want to create the feelings that will come out of those reasons. So when I do my laundry, I feel so much like relief. Like it just feels like my head is clear because I'm not looking around a messy house and I can think clearly without with that stuff put away, right? And then I feel calmer and I feel, excuse me, accomplished, and I feel like I can move on with my day or whatever, right? If I vacuum my floors, it just feels so good to sit on my couch and just look at that shine on my floors, right? Like if I go and do that thing, go get my taxes done in my business, right? It sucks in the meantime, but man, it feels good when it's done. Like I know that I don't have to do that anymore. Like I know that I'm getting a return or that the government's not coming after me, right? You guys get what I'm saying, right?
Right.
So connecting to the feeling of why. You connect with the reason, but then the feeling that comes out of that reason. And the feeling is key. The feeling is so key. It's really funny because like I listen to myself talk a lot and I'm like, really, like there's so much of feelings that we have to deal with in coaching, right? We have to feel the feelings. We have to create the feelings. The feelings are so important. And a lot of times we're not getting places we want to be is because we're not feeling the feelings and we're not creating the feelings, right? We're resisting our feelings. So like allowing feelings and creating them is so important. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, another thing, a note that I wanted to give here is when you are neurodiverse and specifically ADHD, it causes you to lack dopamine. So people with ADHD lack dopamine like naturally. And dopamine is the neurochemical that makes you want things. It's actually like the chemical of desire. So it's like, I want people with high dopamine will be able to go, okay, like I really want to be healthy and I want to have a healthy weight. So I'm like, I have enough dopamine that I can go and have the full motivation to go make myself a really healthy meal, like go to the Whole Foods and get the ingredients, go cook the whole meal and eat the meal and feel good about myself. And people with less dopamine are going to go, like, I need food, I'm hungry, but I don't have enough dopamine to like get me to make that extra effort. So I'm going to go like drive through Brahms and get dinner there. Right. We tend to lack dopamine. And so it causes us to not like want things or have the desire enough, which really desire is just motivation. Right. And so whenever we have that going on, we have to work a little harder to create the emotions, to create the motivation to get us to take action. So whenever that's the case, we need to actually like find our internal motivators that we uniquely have, and then sort of have like a menu of those that we always keep in our minds, and then use those to motivate ourselves. So what I mean by that is, like, Lacey, I know for you, you are highly motivated by fun, right? So if you can find a way to incorporate fun into anything you have to do, you're way more likely to get it done, right? So that's one of your internal motivators. Intrinsic motivators is fun, right? Other people, it can be play. It can be like fired up, like I'm fired up. I got it. I'm on a mission. Like I got to prove it to the world kind of thing. That's definitely not me, but some people get a lot of motivation from that. Some people, it's like feeling powerful. Like they want to feel like I have the power to do something about this. Like I feel powerful when I take action. Like I'm empowered, right? Some people, it's curiosity, right? Like what would happen? Let's just see what would happen if I did this, right? Like if I fold 5 pieces of laundry, let's just see how I feel, right? Like you can kind of play around with curiosity around getting things done, right? There can be like a sense of accomplishment. That's a big one for me, is the sense of accomplishment. Like I love that feeling. It's like a high for me, right? So whatever that is, we have to find what that intrinsic motivator is for us and sort of have that like a menu of feelings that I need to create to get that dopamine response going. And what happens is dopamine is released as we're taking action. So what we need to do is create a little bit of feeling, enough to get us to take a little bit of action. That dopamine will get creating and firing the more you do. And it's a momentum thing, right? So we get that a little bit of dopamine, we do a little bit more dopamine, do a little bit more dopamine. And pretty soon you're like trucking it on your way to your goals, right? Or onto whatever activity you needed to do, right? So it's really like using that momentum and starting with your menu of like intrinsic motivators that you use uniquely for you, right? So Kim, for you, might be like creativity or expression. I don't know. I'm just going off the fact that you're an artistic
Yeah.
photographer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally stereotyping here, but you get what I'm saying.
Well, it's true. It's true. I was thinking, because I'm very goal oriented.
Mm-hmm.
So having that
Yeah.
goal, I would be like,
Right.
oh, okay, so this is a goal. I want to do
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Yes, totally. And with that, with goals, making them really simple, like small chunks really
Mhm.
helps because you get the dopamine hit. What
Yeah.
happens is if you have one big goal, it takes forever to get to it and you never get that dopamine hit, right? If you break it down into a bunch of little ones, like
Mhm.
then you get a dopamine hit every time you get one done and you have that
Right.
sense of accomplishment
Yeah.
and dopamine hits and it's just like you're flying high,
Yeah.
right? You can check off all the boxes.
Exactly.
I
Oh,
get
I'm a
such a high
box
from
checker for sure.
Oh, me too. Yes. I love those check boxes. Okay. All right. Okay. So next thing that you can do, and this kind of is similar to creating desire, but I wanted to give it its own section because it's kind of its own thing. So you can visualize and practice beliefs. So whenever you are struggling and fighting to get something done, a lot of times it's because you need to get yourself into the mindset and again the feelings of what it is that you're wanting to do. And like it's almost like when you visualize, you're visualizing it happening almost as though it is happening. Like your brain doesn't know the difference. So it creates the dopamine hits ahead of time to create the momentum faster, right?
Wow, I didn't
And
know
then
that.
yeah, and then going back to the model, it when you have a thought, right, it causes you to feel feelings, and then those feelings cause you to take certain actions, right? Kim, you'll get into this in much detail soon. So basically visualizing is causing you to feel the feelings, or practicing beliefs is causing you to feel the feelings that are then going to cause you to take the actions that you want to take that are going to create the results that you want, right? So practicing beliefs is a little different from visualization. Practicing beliefs is like you pick a thought like I am in high demand. All of us work with client-based businesses, so that's a good example for the three of us. Like I am in high demand in my business, right? And what you want to do is I like to close my eyes for just lack of like distraction and literally like think to myself, how is that true? Like, how do I know I'm in high demand? Like, you want to find evidence that supports that thought. So, like, for all of us, it would be people like all the clients that we've had in the past, right?
Mhm.
We are in high demand because we all have clients coming to us regularly, right? We are very appreciated by our clients. We produce awesome work and we're recommended by people. Like, you can literally just go through that list, just like I did verbally. You go through that list in your head of how it's true that you're in high demand, right? And if that's the case, then you're going to continue to be in high demand. And as you're thinking that, you want to think it until you feel it in your body, like that feeling of just fullness that hits you and that just like full heart feeling that you get when you think about that, right? That gratitude, that excitement, the hope, the expectation, like everything that just rises up. And the more you think about it and the more you sit on it and you think of reasons that it's true and you feel that feeling, it's just going to grow, right? You're literally firing your brain down thoughts and neural pathways. When you do that, it's completely shifting your energy, right? And again, your brain is going, okay, well, this is true. Like, this is real. This is happening. So the dopamine is going, right? And then we're just going to keep taking action. That's how it gets us to take action, more action, right? Okay. Another thing you can do, like I said, is visualizing. So visualizing is a little bit different. This is literally like playing out scenarios in your mind and you want to get super detailed. So this is like, I wake up in the morning and I walk into my office and I can just feel the feeling of all the clients just ready to work with me. And I sit down at my desk and I open up my computer and I can just feel the like my chair just hug my body and I can see the beautiful sunrise out my window and I sit down and I open up my computer and there's emails from clients who've just had such a great time working with me and amazing results. And then I've got requests for people that are interested in my services. And like I type them back. And as I'm typing, I can just feel gratitude running through the keys and through my fingers and into the keys. And I just feel the abundance of exchange of me giving them value and them giving me value and the gratitude cycle that's happening. And then I email everybody back and then I I go and I make myself some coffee and I can just taste the warmth and the yumminess of my coffee. And it feels so good to just be present in my morning. And then I practice, so you see the difference of visualization versus practicing thoughts, right? It's a whole sequence. It's like you literally live it. Like, and the more detailed you get, the more you feel it all, right? Like I could feel it just doing it. You guys probably could too, right?
I want coffee now.
All right. Well, it's 6:30 at night, so I wouldn't recommend it.
I gotta say, originally I was like struggling about cleaning my bathroom. So that was really a little harder for me to visualize cleaning the toilet and being really happy about it.
Well, that's probably where you need to find like the intrinsic motivator, because that's where it's like, maybe you use fun to motivate yourself. Like you put on some fun music or a fun show. Like that's what I would do. I always put on like shows or podcasts when I'm trying to do like laundry and stuff. I always watch a fun movie while I'm doing laundry. Like it is actually, I don't mind laundry at all. It's not something I mind because I always make it fun. So,
yeah. Well,
yeah.
And I have to say, when it comes to my bathroom, if I can like piece it out,
Mhm.
same kind of thing, I guess. I visualize, okay, I'm going to sweep the floor. I'm going to
Mhm.
Swiffer the floor. Then if I get to past the toilet, I'm
Mhm.
like, it's good.
Home. Yeah. You're on the
Yeah.
home stretch.
Yeah. I can always clean the shower when I take a shower. I usually clean it when I'm in there.
Right. So that's kind of breaking down what we were saying with Kim, like breaking them down to smaller tasks and stuff, I should probably say to here, like a big key also is like praising yourself when you get like celebrating the wins, because a lot of times it's like, can you imagine if like you had a kid and they were getting things done and like you never said a word, like they're getting all kinds of stuff done and they're like, look at me, look at, I got this done. You're like, awesome, nice. And you just go on with your day or don't even say anything, right? Like how awful would that feel? Or if our parent, if you ever felt that way as a kid, right? Like the feeling of like, man, that's like, of course you're not going to want to do it. What a letdown, right? So like recognizing and praising yourself and celebrating those wins, and literally again, talk to yourself and go, great, good job. Like that was not easy. Like you really did not want to do that. You're amazing for getting that done. Like you are so motivated. I'm so proud of you. Like, again, talk to yourself the way that you'd want somebody else to talk to you, the way you'd want to talk to a kid that you love, or you wanted your parents to talk to you, or the way they did. I don't know, depending on your past, right? So have that celebration with yourself, right? So, and I actually have an example for that in a minute too, that we'll get to. Okay, so another thing I want to add is that belief plans is also a part of my coaching program, the Know Your Worth coaching program. So that's something that I actually already have created the module for, and they're going to be going out this week, and it's super powerful. Yes.
Nice.
Yes. I'm super excited. Honestly, like I was listening back to some of the videos to edit them, and I was getting help from myself listening back over them. They're so good. Like they may be the best thing I've ever recorded. So
wow,
they're amazing. And I wanted to give this to you guys first because it is like golden as far as it's the tool aside from my models that I do, like the monthly models I'm going to do with my group, and then the weekly models with my one-on-one clients. It's my like next most powerful tool. And it's how I have truly created like so much money and so much just like car and everything in my life. Like it's amazing. Okay, so next thing you want to do when you are struggling to do a hard thing is you want to let go of perfectionism. Okay. People don't realize, like, I think sometimes perfectionism is really sneaky, and we don't realize that it's often the thing that's causing us to procrastinate things. A lot of times we have this like internal dialogue that's like, well, you need to get it all done. You have to check off every single box. It's like everything has to get done, and everything has to be done perfectly, or it's not enough. Like you can't celebrate until it's totally done. You have to do the entire thing. It has to be done right. It has to be done perfectly. And we just pressure ourselves with this internal dialogue all the time. Perfectionism is really sneaky. Like we don't realize it's happening a lot of times because we don't use the word perfect with ourselves. So we don't catch it. but it's really like, you have to do it all. Like you have to do this whole list. Like you can't feel good till it's done. You can't go lay on the couch and feel okay resting for a while if that's not done yet. Right. And that's really perfectionism being incredibly sneaky and mean. Right. So truly the way that we get past this is really, again, that internal dialogue. And what you want to say to yourself is, whatever I get done today is enough. And that's what needed to be done. Right. If I get done on work on this, whatever I get done is going to be enough, because it was something, and because that's what I had in me today. Right. And I just truly believe that whenever we do things, like whatever we get done in a day is really just what was meant to be for that day. Like I really believe, like I have learned to really trust myself in that way, that there are times when like I'm trying to get things done and I just can't do it. And like, I feel just resistance towards it, and I'll find out later it wasn't necessary, or it got like a deadline got pushed out or something. Right. A lot of times it's like, we just have to trust ourselves that we're getting done exactly what needs to be getting done in the pace it needs to get done. And it's okay if they don't get done faster, and to let go of the checklist in a sense. Like obviously it's okay to have them, but I'm saying like the pressure to have the whole checklist done. Right. Get done what you can and have a ton of grace for yourself in the process of getting those things done and the pace that you're going at, truly. So I love that. Just whatever I get done today is enough. It's enough. It's what needed to be done. Right. I'll even kind of have that, like a lot of times, like you'll be in conversations with people and you'll about to say something and then it just like leaves your head and you're like, crap, I was going to say something and left my head. I literally got to the point where I'm like, you know what, if it needed to be said, it would have come to me, and what if we had that same approach to the things we get done, to our checklists and to our tasks and all of that kinds of stuff. Right. So this is kind of a tricky one, because we think it sounds like this is counterintuitive to where if you let yourself off the hook, then you won't get anything done. But I have deadlines, like I have to get stuff done. But the thing is if you talk yourself through letting the pressure off, it actually will give you the motivation to get it done.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, we're like a bunch of little kids, and when you pressure little kids, they get stubborn AF.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
Kids are like, no way. Like the second you put them any kind of restrictions on them or like tell them how something needs to be done and they can't do it their way, they're going to get super stubborn. We are a bunch of little kids inside, for real. We never lose that. We just learn to be more polished about it as adults. Right?
That's true.
So
That's true.
yeah, it really is. This is truly like, I have come to embrace the concept of reparenting like more and more over time, because truly it really is about your self-relationship and reparenting the parts of you that didn't get parented in the way that you needed. Right. It's really in giving yourself tons of grace and tons of freedom that you actually get the motivation to do the stuff you need to do. It's actually the thing that makes you like, it's like when you feel like you have the choice, then you want to do it. You own it for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Also, I will say with that, the key also to making that work is start with the most essential tasks and then work your way down the list of importance, so that you can go, okay, I got this done and it was the most essential stuff. It wasn't any of the extras or even maybe any of the things that I know are coming up, but that was enough. Right. It gets easier to say that when you rearrange your list from like most important, most urgent to least urgent. Right. Okay. Another thing that works for a lot of people, and Mom, I was going to say this for you with the cleaning the bathroom example, is using rewards. So I have heard, and I haven't really tested this theory, so don't quote me on this, but I've heard that this works better for non-ADHD brains, but I don't really know if that's true or not. I don't know. You guys can play with it and see. But basically some people are very reward motivated. So in that case, what you can do is literally pick a reward ahead of time and be like, you get this when you do this, right? So like, when you clean the bathroom, you get a piece of cake, or you get to lay down and watch a movie.
Woo, woo,
right?
I'll take the cake.
Like you could literally make it like for every section of the bathroom that you clean, you get more of the cake. Like you get
Oh
the
God, that's
mirror,
bad.
you get the mirror and the sink done, and you get a quarter of the piece of cake. You get the shower done and you get another quarter of the piece of cake, right? You get the floor done and there's another quarter. You get what I'm saying? Like, it really just depends. And this is something you're gonna have to play with to see if it works for you. But like, you can give yourself very immediate rewards, and it's more of that quick dopamine hit, and more of like the instant gratification, like quick fix kind of thing. And that might be enough to keep you going, right? You could also just make like a long-term reward where it's like, if I finish the bathroom, then I get to have a piece of cake after, or I get to watch a movie later. Like I get rest in return for effort, right? So you kind of have to decide what's important enough, what's motivating enough for you as a reward to make it worth that kind of thing, right? So for me, sometimes I'll play around with like, I get a piece of jewelry if like I make a certain amount of money or something in my business, like you can play around with stuff. Just kind of see what works for you. You may or may not be reward based. So I'm trying to move with the sunspot. Sorry, hold on. So, just see if it works for you. That's better. And if it doesn't, that's okay. But if it does, then great. All right. I think the key here really though is like pick the reward ahead of time, because if you don't pick it ahead of time, then you're not going to have anything to work towards. And also, you have to actually follow through, because if you do that, and if you say you're going to get something and you don't follow through, you're going to lose your self-trust really fast. So make sure that you follow through with that. Okay. So here's what to do if none of these things work. Okay. Number one, it might be some time to get some extra help. Like this might be where you need some coaching to come in, because there could be some more bigger, deeper ways that you're sabotaging that we need to address, right? There could be some, like, a lot of times these will be like traumas. They can be big or small traumas. Like trauma could be minor things that you didn't know were affecting you as a kid, right? Like a parent maybe not validating your feelings at some point or something like that. It can be big things too. But I think a lot of times we hear the word trauma and we think like big T trauma, like really, really the bad things, right? It can be those, and I know how to deal with those and heal those too, but it can also be smaller things and it very like unassuming things that we need to work through as well. Okay. So basically we can rewire those things and create the thoughts that will help you to create the feelings, to create the actions that you need to, if that's the case. The other thing, if that still isn't working, right? If you're still hitting walls, I really urge you to ask yourself, like, maybe I don't need to be doing this. I think a lot of times we take on all these actions again that are from the outside. It's pressure we put on ourselves. It's pressure that other people put on us. It's societal pressure. It's what we think our spouse expects of us, right? It's what we think our kids expect of us. It's what we think we should be doing, or how we think our day should be flowing, what everybody else says, even if it's good stuff, right? Like in the coaching world, I get a lot of information, a lot of ideas and things that other coaches are saying you should be doing this or that or this or that. And I have to funnel that stuff through, like, but does that work for me, right? And that's why today I even gave you a bunch of different examples. Some work for me and some don't, but it just depends on you, and you try them out and try them on and see how they work for you and tweak them and play with them, right? And some will work and some won't, and that's okay, right? So ultimately, really ask yourself, like, should I even be doing this? Like, do I really need to be doing this? Sometimes we're feeling resistance towards things because it's really our intuition telling us, this doesn't resonate with me, right? This isn't jiving somehow. I was listening to a podcast actually with, what is her name? She wrote, oh my gosh, it's in my head. She's a lot like Brene Brown. Oh my gosh, I can literally see the cover of her book in my head.
She a current author?
Yeah.
Not Jen Cicero.
No.
Okay.
Frustrating. It'll come to me. Whatever. The point is, still holds. Okay. She was writing a book, and she was writing a book about Untamed. Glennon Doyle. She was writing a book called Untamed, right? And it was about, as women, basically unwiring the patriarchy from who we are and the way that we've been told that things have to be. And as she was writing the book, she said something just kept feeling really off, but she kept making herself write it, and she just could not like it wasn't connecting and she couldn't figure out why. And so she gave it to a friend to read, and her friend goes like, this just, her friend basically reflected back to her feelings. And she goes, this doesn't feel right. And she said, you wrote this in big chapters, like all the other books in the world. But she goes, if you're trying to teach people to be untamed and do things against the grain, like, why don't you break this down into small sections, like small little itty bitty mini chapters, basically. And when she did that and she made that shift, she felt like the structure of the book matched the messaging of it. And it was like that simple tweak that she needed that made it all click for her, right? Sometimes when we're working on things and we're feeling this major resistance, it's because there's something like that we need to stop and like catch. And in those moments, it can be sitting with yourself and asking yourself, like, do I need to change or tweak something about this? Do I need to adjust something inside of myself? Like maybe I'm not taking care of myself enough, or I'm not feeling some feelings I need to, or maybe I'm not really connecting with this and I shouldn't be doing it, or maybe I need to do it differently. But whatever the reason, we have to kind of search and figure out why, and sometimes just truly trust that feeling. There have been times where I like was trying to do something and I would try and try and try, and it just was not clicking. And then a couple days later, I'd find out it like didn't need to be done, or a project was being scrapped or whatever, right? Like a boss had told me to do something back when I worked in the corporate world, and I'd be like working, trying so hard to get it done. And then they come back a couple days later and be like, I changed my mind, right? So like sometimes it's like we have to trust that instinct that there's a reason why something is just not resonating and not clicking and not flowing, right? Okay, so we have permission to really question, right, if we should be doing things, and it's okay to let them go, as long as obviously like you're not like, committed to something. Like if you're in the middle of a photography shoot, you can't just walk away. But like,
right.
You get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're going to do a couple exercises to help you guys internalize and practice this stuff. Okay. So number one, I want you guys to just jot down a quick list off the top of your heads of what your internal motivators are, your intrinsic motivators. So what are the feelings that help you to feel really motivated? A good way to find that is find the feelings that you felt in times that things were really easy to get stuff done. Like times when stuff flowed, what did you feel? And maybe even what did you do to create those feelings that made it so easy? Guys, let me know when you feel like you have a good list. No rush.
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Me too.
Okay. So next question, how can you incorporate more of those motivating emotions into your activities? So how can you create those feelings inside of the things that you need to get done in order to motivate yourself to get them done? I will give you something that might, I don't know, this just popped into my head. So let's see if this helps you. A really important motivating feeling for me is freedom. Like I have to feel freedom inside of my schedule, inside of the tasks that I have to get done. Like I need to feel like I have the freedom to work with my inspiration, and like I'm a very creative soul too, and I need to feel like I can, like, yes, I have obviously weekly clients and they're scheduled to show up at the same time every week and I always show up for them. But like within that, I need freedom to play inside of my schedule. And I need to feel like if I'm one day I wake up and I'm super inspired to work on my website, I'm going to do that. And another day, if I'm just like super inspired to create a topic for this meeting or something, I can do that. Like, so for me, the more freedom I feel, the more motivated I am to get stuff done. And so like, I will literally like create schedules where I have like a list of things that I need to get done. And then I'll just block out time for work and I'll let myself just like, I literally will sit down and look at the list. And if nothing's like super urgent, I'll just be like, what do I feel like doing? Right? Like what am I feeling? Right? And then I'll do that. And it's crazy because when I do that, whatever I do ends up being amazing. Right? Because I'm coming from a place of like, that's where my emotion was motivated. That's where like that feeling of freedom showed up. And I feel like I had like the motivation and the grace to like play and have fun. Right? And to not be like super pinned down to one thing. Anytime I feel super pinned down to one thing, it makes me want to run. Like I want to run away from my business. I feel like set me free, like, right. But I'm a very, like, I need that feeling to like that, almost that like wildness to roam in a sense inside the structure of my business. So I create structure, but then a lot of freedom within the structure. Yeah. So that might be a good example of like one of the ways that you can create those feelings is like, how can I feel free inside the structure? And that's how I do that for myself. Right. So how can you create more of the feelings that you want to feel, those motivating emotions for you inside of the tasks that you need to get done? If you need some help, it's a good moment to ask me. I'm happy to help you.
So I wrote down money. Well, money makes me, that's what motivates me to do what I love to do.
Oh, gotcha.
It's
Like
a motivator. Yeah,
okay.
it's a motivator. So I didn't know, but then when you said freedom, I think that's more along the correct line.
Yes. Okay. I misunderstood you. Yes. That's 100% accurate. So that's really normal. And I love that. Like, that's something that people oftentimes are scared to admit. They're like so horrible if money motivates them. Money's beautiful. It's a tool. And it exists to give us freedom to be able to do all those things. It creates freedom. It creates play and joy and all those different things. Right. So that's a beautiful thing. I think that you can use money as a reward, right? Like that's great. You do money goals for rewards and stuff like that. But yeah, I think tapping into the feelings that money creates for you is going to be key as far as the feeling for sure. Like the freedom and stuff like that. Yeah. So I would say too, like, so taking it down to like, let's say that we're trying to find an activity that we need to do to make money, right? And we're resisting that activity. I'm not saying you're doing this. I'm just sort of coming up with an example. Like I need to post more on my social media, right? So it's like, how can I create the feelings that I need to feel in that posting activity that get me to take action, right? So like, can I make it feel connected? Do I want to feel connected to people? Like, do I want to feel generous or abundant? Like I'm giving them so much help. That's what I tap into for myself. Like in order to, be able to I have created so much consistency in my posting and just the value of what I'm posting. And for me, it's come from the thought and the feelings of like, I am helping people so much. Like I literally set the intention that my social media would be like a free masterclass for anybody that wants it. Right. And so for me, it's like this feeling of abundance and generosity and like just giving that I get to have when I post on social media. Like I'm just creating quality and value for people for free. Like it feels amazing. Right. So I think that's where you want to break it down to something, right? Like take that big overarching money freedom feeling, but then to create the money, what actions I need to take there and what feelings I need to create in those actions, right? That's usually where we get stuck. It's not the big rewards. It's usually like the small day-to-days. That's like, how can I create the feelings in those, right? Yeah. Any other ones you guys want help or feedback from?
So I wrote down outside as one of my motivators. I love being outdoors. Anything that I do outside is motivating. Like
Yeah.
I don't have any problem doing it, like exercise or anything like that. Eating.
Yeah. Totally.
I think so. Outside, I like that. So
I love that too. And you know, I'm the same way. Like, so you like your question there would be, how can I put myself outside more when I'm
yeah,
doing things, right?
right.
Like,
Yeah,
could you literally set up like an outside workspace for yourself?
sure.
Like literally, right? And I
Uh-huh.
would say too, you could even, if you wanted to, you could dig into what feelings does outside give me. Like,
Yeah.
is it for me, it makes me feel very free and like
Yeah.
light and fresh and like
Uh-huh.
the light, the literal light, like create
Yeah.
it actually gets your brain to wake up a little bit more and it feels refreshing and grounding. So like you could go, okay, well, if I can't be inside, let's say I'm cleaning a bathroom, how
Yeah.
can I create that feeling of outside, right?
Mm.
Could I play soundscapes from
Yeah.
my Calm app while I'm in the bathroom, right? Like
Right.
you could
Right.
literally, right? Like
Yeah.
you could create that feeling, put a fan on and play like the breeze soundscape.
Sunglasses
Right?
on.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
maybe reward yourself with like, I get to be outside for an hour after
Oh
I clean this
yeah.
bathroom, right? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
totally.
That's a good
Love it.
idea.
Yeah,
Sure.
totally.
Okay.
Always we want to replicate more of what's working for us, right?
Mhm.
You can't go wrong with that approach. Like what has worked for me and how can I do more of that?
Okay.
Okay. Last thing. Okay. I want you guys to do, we're going to do a little visualization together. So I want you guys to pick one thing that you've been avoiding doing, like one smaller task. Okay. Like cleaning the bathroom or something like that. Got one? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So now I want you, I'll close my eyes too. We're all going to close our eyes. Okay. Now I want you to take a deep breath. Just relax. I want you to feel your body just melting into your chair. Just lean back and relax. Just move your neck around and relax your muscles. Take some more deep breaths. Just feel yourself settling into your seat. Okay. And then I want you to picture yourself walking into the room where that thing you have to do is. And I want you to picture yourself going and doing that thing. I'm not going to be able to walk you through a ton of detail in this because it's going to be unique to you. But I want you to picture yourself like picking up that thing or touching it. And I want you to feel how it feels if it's something physical. I want you to feel yourself like sitting in the chair and if that involves sitting in a chair, like what that chair feels like. I want you to feel yourself like interacting with that thing and what that's going to feel like. The feeling, I want you to let yourself feel the actual feelings that you feel when you do that thing. But the key is, I want you to feel the goodness of it. I want you to let yourself be in the feeling of, if this were really good and this felt really good, what would it feel like? I want you to let yourself feel the gratitude towards yourself for doing that thing. Feel the satisfaction for having it done and the freedom it creates when it's off of your chest and you're not carrying that around anymore. I want you to just feel like the gratitude towards yourself and like the abundance that you're creating inside of yourself when you do that thing. Whether that's monetary abundance or the abundance of time you now have because that's not weighing on you anymore. I want you to let yourself feel like the richness of what that's creating in your life and inside of yourself. And even inside of your self relationship and your self connection when you do that thing. I want you to let yourself feel a fullness of that activity and the goodness of that and what it does for your life, yourself, and the people around you. And I want you to say thank you, me, you can say your name, for doing this. And you don't have to say it out loud. And I want you to just sit with yourself in the gratitude of doing that thing and how good it can feel to actually do it and get it done, and even the enjoyment of it. You guys can open your eyes whenever you want. So that's going to be a little hard without me knowing the exact thing that you were visualizing, but I hope that kind of helped you. Did it help create some good feelings around whatever it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Mhm.
So really, we can never go wrong with always approaching things with gratitude. Gratitude towards ourselves, gratitude that we even have that problem, right? Gratitude that of the feeling of getting it done, of having the resources to get it done, whatever, right? So like if I were visualizing getting my taxes done, right? And I can relate to that being a very stressful activity. So I mean, you could sit and just be like, man, I can feel like my arms of my chair that I love. And I can feel like that I'm sitting in my office and like, I'm so grateful that I have this office. Like, I'm so grateful that I have taxes to do. Right. And I can feel just like the gratitude that I have money to pay taxes on, that like every client that I have loved working with is the reason why, like, this is partly their money, right? Like that we're all in this together. And how amazing is that? Right. Like you can really find those feelings and those thoughts if you're kind of just like letting yourself flow with that moment, aside from the yuckiness of it, right? Of doing taxes. It'll help you to be more present in that thing. And truly what you're visualizing ahead of time is what you're more likely to create when you actually go and do that thing. Right?
Right.
Yeah. Feels pretty good, doesn't it? All right. That is the end. And I ended up pretty much just on time. I'm pretty proud of myself for that. I did not time myself ahead. So thank you very much.
Okay, that was awesome.
What do you guys think? Helpful?
Yeah, very helpful.
Yeah, good.
Very helpful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yay. All right.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I love the reparenting part that you talked about.
Oh, I know. Isn't that awesome? Man,
Yeah.
I'm really doing that a lot on myself lately, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I think for me that it brings truth to what you're doing and how much stock to take in doing what you're doing, instead of just being all upset and bummed out. Oh, I got to do this or I got to do that. But there's
right.
actually a process to it.
Yeah.
And some thoughts into it and thinking about it and visualizing. And I think it was super helpful.
Yeah, it really is like being present and intentional.
Yeah.
Totally shifts how you feel in the middle of a process. Like even if it's yucky, like just really like presence is so important. And we kind of tend to forget how much that can shift your experience when you choose to do that, right? Like really anything can be enjoyable if you choose to be present inside of the moment, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. Good. Yay. I'm glad this helped you guys. Any questions before we go?
Nope.
Okay. Awesome.
Sounds good. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you guys for
Bye.
coming.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. You're welcome.